It's looking like Gennady Golovkin will make his DAZN debut against Contender Season 5 winner Brandon Adams. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working now. According to WorldBoxingNews.net, it looks like Gennady Golovkin's opponent is set June 8th, and they're going to put Demetrius Andrade on the card, but not against Triple G. Triple G would face Contender Season 5 winner, according to this report. Now, nothing's been confirmed by Gennady Golovkin on his verified social medias or anything, but it sounds likely because I did videos about this talking about the fact that an offer was sent. This has been confirmed by Brandon Adams. There was a kind of like a bidding war. Triple G was going to fight Brandon Adams, and then PBC sent some kind of offer to Brandon Adams as well for Jamal Charlo. They were trying to do a Houston fight. And Brandon Adams, I think, did an interview with the Boxing Voice, and he was quoted as saying something to the effect that Charlo would be a tougher fight than Triple G. But they're both good guys, good opponents, blah, blah, blah. And now the WorldBoxingNews.net, which has been, a very credible source in the past, they got exclusives with World Boxing contacts like Bob Arum and Shelly Finkel. Like, they have exclusive stuff. So, I've cited some recent stuff like Bob Arum, the report where he went in on Eddie Hearn, that was on this website. You guys would have seen that in my video as well. So link is in the description. Make sure you head over there to give them the credit and some traffic for their website. So it says World Boxing News has learned of a DAZN doubleheader in place for the return of former middleweight king Gennady Golovkin. Right? It says opponent Brandon Adams, 29, saw off Tyrone Brunson, Levgin, Eric Walker, and eventually Sugar Shane Mosley in the final of the popular TV series The Contender on Epix. Prior to taking the Contender crown, Adams had suffered a loss to ex-world superweight title challenger John Thompson, and you guys could read the whole article, but basically, as you guys see where it says key points, they're talking about Gennady Golovkin versus Brandon Adams, the main event, and then Demetrius Andrade versus Madge Selesky, who just recently fought in Philly, and he fought against Gabe Rosado on the Tevin Farmer card, I believe, the week of Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia on DAZN. My thoughts, to be honest, I would rather see Triple G versus Demetrius Andrade. Listen, rumor has it that they're trying to make Canelo Triple G 3 on DAZN, which, they feel like those guys are popular, have star power, and they feel this will probably gain some traction because previously the first two Canelo Golovkin fights were on HBO pay-per-view. Now, for a singular price or an annual price, $99 a year or $19.99 a month with the new pricing structure that should be in effect, you will be able to watch this fight, if they do. But I don't like that idea because, I think bottom line is this. I think we have a lot of, matchmakers or promoters, and they're trying to keep people warm, and instead of letting like a tournament style event take place, even if they have all of the players to do so, it's like they kind of prohibit that from happening, especially with Gennady Golovkin's career. Gennady Golovkin is like the latter part of his career has been chasing down, like clout chasing Canelo and always trying to get a Canelo fight. And it almost seems like an obsession. Now you have Canelo Alvarez, who's fighting Daniel Jacobs, and that's a tough fight for both of them, despite who you think is going to win, and it's a unification. And then Triple G's fighting a former 154-pounder who's moving up, who won a game show or a reality series against Shane Mosley's son, who started boxing late. Not to mention, some of you guys don't know who John Thompson is, the guy that knocked out Brandon Adams. He's not a noted puncher. Go to his box rec and stuff like that, and you'll see that. He's not a notable puncher. Like, he's not a guy with a ton of knockouts, like just known for a nefarious punch. And he was able to knock out Brandon Adams at that current point when they fought, plus a Triple G opponent. And then not to mention John Thompson later lost in a vacant title fight with Liam Smith, who got destroyed by Canelo basically and stopped. And then later fought Jaime Munguia and, you know, was getting battered pretty well. You know, and this is the guy that beat Brandon Adams. No knock on him. You know, sometimes people get better and stuff. But another fun fact is Gennady Golovkin fought Willie Monroe and beat him by stoppage, I think like a 6-round knockout. Brandon Adams also lost to Willie Monroe. Now, it's not just about triangle theories, but, you know, I just don't see, even with the contender, like me personally, I don't even know if I have Epics. So I wasn't able to watch the contender show. I just knew the outcome, you know. So I don't know how many other people are in the same boat. You guys can leave me a comment and let me know if you watched the contender series, but it's not like, you know, American Ninja Warrior or something on NBC and, you know, everybody's seen it. Because like I said, I cover boxing and I wasn't able to see it. I don't even know what channel Epics is. I don't even know if I have that channel, to be honest. So, you know, I just don't see this as being this huge fight. It's more so a fight where, you know, Triple G should be favored to win, especially since he's been fighting at middleweight since an amateur. And this guy, Brandon Adams, he's in shape. You know, I gotta probably brush up on the contender show to see how he was looking. You know, I heard he looked pretty decent on the show, but again, I haven't seen it, so I'll make my own observations, check out some of the episodes. But, you know, beating Shane Mosley, I mean, has he improved enough to jump to the Golovkin level? I mean, we're gonna find out. Golovkin is coming off a loss, but the other problem with that is Golovkin let him tell it, let Abel Sanchez and, you know, or at least Tom Loeffler, Team Golovkin say, basically, they said they got robbed versus Canelo. So why would you need to regress in competition and fight, you know, somebody who just won some money on a show who's not really a huge name in preparation for a potential Canelo trilogy should he get past Jacobs? When DAZN, in my opinion, they raised the price, that's an early sign that they're getting aggressive, trying to recoup some of the money, and maybe they're not getting enough traction and subscribers. You've even recently seen someone who's been in the business 50 plus years, like Bob Arum, say nobody has DAZN. He just did an interview with this same website, World Boxing News, right? So the indicators, early indicators, look as if maybe they, you know, they need more subscribers. They're paying these huge salaries, you know, trying to land Klitschko's and AJ's and Triple G's, and, you know, and they're doing it, trying to facilitate this all through a subscriber base, which is, before it was $9.99 a month, and they raised the price, opt in, opt out, you know. And I don't think people were kind of just coming for big fights and then, oh, I don't need it for these other months type stuff. Now they're trying to recoup, you know, and I just don't know. That's cool that you're putting Andrade on the card and Triple G on the card. I just don't see this. I would have much preferred Brandon Adams versus Mad Selesky, who Andrade's a champion. Golovkin's a former champion. Why aren't the two Olympians fighting each other? See, that's what I'm saying. Gennady Golovkin is a 37-year-old Olympian with a silver medal. Demetrius Andrade represented the USA in the Olympics. Andrade has several times called out Golovkin. That would be a main event, which has two bigger names, Kazakhstan fighter versus an American fighter, both Olympians, one loss between the two of them, you know, and a southpaw versus a really aggressive boxer puncher with a good jab. That's a good fight, you know, that's a good fight. And then you could have put Brandon Adams versus Mad Selesky. So to me, it's like Benjamin Button. It seems a little bit backwards. Beyond that, the reason I like Triple G versus Andrade, aside from two Olympians, one loss between the two of them, and let Golovkin say he doesn't believe he really lost in either Canelo fight. So, you know, it's almost similar to fighting two undefeated fighters. But beyond that, Andrade has the belt. Canelo has all the belts from Golovkin. Golovkin got stripped last year for failure to fight Sergey Derenchenko. When Canelo failed his drug test, he opted to fight against Vanes Martirosyan. The IBF said you have to, if you're going to fight on this date, you should be fighting your mandatory. But if not, we'll let you fight Vanes Martirosyan since you couldn't control Canelo Alvarez failing a drug test, and we know that's who you were scheduled to fight. But after this Vanes fight, your next fight, you got to negotiate and fight Sergey Derevyanchenko. Team Golovkin, apparently, after they knocked out Vanes Martirosyan, after Triple G knocked him out in 2 rounds, in a fight we all predicted, Vanes Martirosyan moving up in weight, coming off a 2-year layoff and a loss to Erislandy Lara. After that happened, then, Golovkin's team really had no intention of pursuing their mandatory, so they were willing to get stripped of the IBF belt because they were pursuing Canelo. So again, Golovkin used to fight 3, maybe 4 times a year, but in recent years, it seems like a Canelo clout chase. The first fight you thought it was a draw, then you were going to fight him in a rematch in May, and then he failed a drug test, and you knew he was getting a short ban, slap on the wrist, so you didn't want to take a risky fight, a fight where you get injured, a fight where you look bad, a fight where you lose, So you got stripped of the IBF, making the Canelo Triple G fight even less meaningful. Canelo already failed the drug test, so that was, that was like a hit on that fight, because people don't want to see a fight if they suspect foul play or somebody cheated, even though he was doing the drug testing and stuff like that. And, you fought Vanes Martirosyan. Meanwhile, Daniel Jacob has fought 4 undefeated fighters in a row and arguably beat them all to get this Canelo fight, And it seems to me like in America, a lot of times the minorities and the black fighters have to do even more to get, like, Daniel Jacobs fought Golovkin when he was undefeated, arguably beat him. I thought he beat him. I was there. Then he fought Luis Cuba Arias, who was ranked and undefeated. Then he fought Mad Zaleski, who DAZN's putting on this card against champion Andrade, when Mad Zaleski was undefeated and he had beaten Hugo Centeno Jr., who Jamal Charlo fought after Zaleski had stopped Hugo, right? And then Jacobs fought Sergey Derevyanchenko. Again, his old stablemate, someone who trained in his gym, had the same trainer as him, aka a friend and stablemate, and he had to fight him. He had to fight a friend and stablemate because Triple G didn't choose to fight him and defend against his mandatory, because Derevyanchenko had been the long-standing mandatory. So in essence, Jacobs had to do all this to take out Triple G's trash and fight his mandatory. And now he's finally been rewarded with another big fight since Triple G, with a big name, because the other guys were undefeated, but they didn't carry the same type of purses that I'm sure that Jacobs got for the Triple G fight or the Canelo. So he had to kind of work his way back up the ladder, if you will, against tough competition. Triple G comes off of a loss to Canelo, and he has to come back and fight a former 154-pounder that doesn't have a huge profile. Some people may not have even seen the Contender. It's not like The Voice or American Idol, where everybody seen every episode, and Brandon Adams is now this household name, and then that's all he has to do. Meanwhile, DAZN has all the major middleweight players, and they have all the champions, and you're putting Andrade and Golovkin on the same card, but they're not fighting each other. And the other thing I like, the final thing I'll say in closing, is Andrade is the last missing link. The winner of Canelo Jacobs will have all the belts except for the WBO belt that Andrade has. So if they would have made Gennady Golovkin, who believes he beat Canelo, so he shouldn't have lost any confidence, right? And he's 37 and a silver medalist. You could have made a bigger card with 2 Olympians that people have linked together fighting. I've seen commentary like, even when Andrade was at 154, the idea of fighting Golovkin, people talked about it. So you could have had this, and this I think would have helped DAZN grow even greater. The better the match and the better the event and the better the card. But most of all, the thing I like is, aside from 2 Olympians fighting and 2 guys who have been long rumored to fight, and fans want that, right? It would have been good because the winner of Triple G versus Andrade, if they were to have made that, would have the WBO belt, so they could fight the winner of Canelo versus Jacobs. And then let's say Canelo emerges and Triple G were to beat Andrade. Now you have Canelo versus Triple G 3. If that was who won these two independent fights, then you would have Canelo Triple G 3 for all the belts at middleweight and undisputed, which Golovkin said when he first came out was his priority. He said he could fight anyone from 154 to 175. Then we found out he's never moved up or moved down. He said he wants all the belts. Hey, no, guys, give me the belts, you know. He wanted to collect all the belts. And then he lost them, you know, and it looked like it was spread out a little bit. But then Billy Joe Saunders, you know, everything happened. Billy Joe Saunders failed a drug test. He was supposed to fight Andrade. Andrade fought for the vacant title and is already defended. So he has an opportunity here where Golovkin, all he has to do is go through Andrade, and then he could rematch a guy that he believes he beat, either Canelo or Jacobs, whoever is to win that fight. And then it would be for every single belt at middleweight. And Canelo Triple G, if that's how it played out, if they were the winners of those fights, becomes huger. It becomes a bigger, more massive fight, because the first or second fight wasn't for all the belts, because Triple G never had all the belts. Billy Joe Saunders had the WBO belt at that time during the first fight. And during the second fight, Triple G elected not to fight his mandatory. So on top of not having the WBO fight like he didn't have in the first fight, he also didn't have the IBF by the time the Canelo fight rolled around, because he was stripped, because he did not fight Sergey Derevyanchenko, who Daniel Jacobs just beat to get Canelo. So it's kind of a mess. So I'm not really too impressed, especially with the price point hike from DAZN, you know, raising the price to $19.99. I think the better thing for DAZN, the app, to lure customers would to have this middleweight tournament. You have all the top middleweights, you know, and you Eddie Hearns bragged about it. You have all the top middleweights minus Charlo, and Charlo's coming off of a difficult fight and he doesn't have a belt. So, you know, you could really have, by the end of this year, we could have like Usyk and like Crawford did recently, and have undisputed middleweight champion. In addition to that, Canelo Alvarez and his team, the Reynosos, said to ESPN Deportes, Canelo's goal is to clear out the division and become the undisputed champion. So if Triple G fought the guy who's now the co-feature, Demetrius Andrade, and beat him, Canelo Triple G, if Canelo beats Jacobs, would be for all the marbles. And this is what Canelo said he wanted. So, you know, I think DAZN, it's only right that they should have pushed for Triple G to fight Andrade. You know, Canelo's taking a tough fight. Daniel Jacobs been taking tough fights. And then Andrade's a champion. And we've seen him in against guys like Walter Katandakwa, because we didn't really know him because Billy Joe Saunders failed the drug test. And then we seen him in against Artur Akov, a guy Billy Joe Saunders beat 2-3 years before Andrade. And now we're seeing the champion Demetrius Andrade as a co-feature, not a main event, fighting a guy who just got knocked down by Gabe Rosado. He looked decent, but, you know, in a fight that he was winning, he got dropped like once or twice on DAZN. You know, I can't understand that logic. They could really have established basically kind of like, instead of a Super 6, it would be like, in essence, like a Super 4 tournament. Canelo's already fighting Jacobs May 4th, Cinco de Mayo weekend. It's a big fight, meaningful fight. So you just signed Triple G. What's the point of signing him, you know, if he's not having to fight the top guys? You know what I'm saying? Straight away. Because, like I said, you could have like a Super 4 tournament just right off the bat, you know? But for whatever reason, certain fighters like Golovkin, they're automatically granted this exemption. Whereas when, you know, the black fighter, Daniel Jacobs, or a lot of fighters who happen to be minorities, I see a pattern, lose, they have to climb back up the ladder. You get what I'm saying? Jacobs lost to Triple G. I thought he won the fight, but he had to go through 3 other undefeated fighters just to build back up to the point where he's now getting a good fight and a big fight, a big paying fight that, you know, he could be happy for, and a big opportunity at belts, a unification. So he has this opportunity with Canelo now, but he had to go through tough, high risk, low reward fights, you know, guys that didn't carry belts or major paydays attached to them necessarily, but they could have been difficult fights, and some of them were. Like the Seletsky fight was kind of difficult, and then so was the Derevyanchenko. You know, these are tough, bruising fights. Triple G loses to Canelo, you know, has a draw with Canelo, and in between his Canelo fights, he's fought Vanes Martirosyan, again a 54-pounder off a 2-year layoff, and now he's fighting another former 154-pounder who has 2 losses because he won a reality show, and he's been stopped before, and he's newer to 160. So we'll see what Brandon Adams can do. Let me know if you guys are excited. That's my uncut thoughts. Drop your thoughts. Are you happy with this? Do you have DAZN? Are you going to purchase DAZN for this fight? Drop all that in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.